So if you're always posting content in the moment and you feel a little bit overwhelmed, you might need to use a social media scheduling tool. Whether you're a content creator, a small business owner, or you work in the social media industry, you know that time is money. And taking hours out of your day to go and post on social media, it's just not the best use of your time. So today I want to talk to you guys about a couple of different software that I like to use to schedule out my social media posts so that I know I'm being not only efficient with my time, but strategic with my content. My preferred social media scheduling tool is Later for a lot of different reasons. I'm able to upload a piece of content and distribute it to basically every single social media platform out there. So for instance, my content manager, she's gonna help me pull clips from this YouTube video, clips that are like 15 to 20 seconds in length. What we can do is we can then take that one video, upload it to Later, and make sure that it gets scheduled across Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, you name it, it can go out there. You also have things like a media library where you can house all of your content and organize it. You can manage comments for Instagram and TikTok. You can review all of your analytics across social media, and you can use their native link in bio feature, which is similar to Linktree. You can completely get rid of that and so much more. So Later isn't just a social media scheduling tool. It really is your partner in social media. There are so many different apps combined into one. Again, you don't really need a ton of use from Dropbox or Google. You don't need to have Linktree. You don't need to have a separate software to review your analytics. You can get it all in one place. Okay, I want to walk you through a couple of different pros here when it comes to Later. It is an all-in-one tool that works with almost every single platform. And since this works seamlessly with all of these platforms, Later is actually an approved partner with all of the social media platforms that they provide scheduling services for. And the reason why this is so important is you want to make sure you are using a software that is an approved partner that is following the terms and conditions of each of these platforms and in regards to their API and all this other like kind of mumbo jumbo. Basically, in layman's terms, they play nice with these platforms to make sure your account doesn't get shut down. And why I always advise people to make sure that the scheduling software they use is an approved partner, because it allows for auto publishing, meaning I can set up an Instagram post and it'll automatically publish for me. Now, if the software that you are currently using is not an approved partner with Instagram or TikTok or any of these other platforms, you are at risk of having your account shut down because it violates terms and conditions. So again, that is probably the biggest pro and the most powerful part of Later. Not only are you getting all of these crazy cool apps and all these different features, you know that you are selecting the right software that will give you the best cushion for safety. We know that our accounts aren't going to get shut down because we're using some weird software. And while I think there are so many great features that I've already mentioned about Later, that obviously those are all pros, there is one that I really specifically want to dive into when it comes to collecting your content. So there is a media library section that allows you to pull content not only from your own repository, but find it from other places too. So personally, I love uploading directly into the platform. So let's say I have 5 videos going out this week, I upload them there. You can actually take the content that you upload, whether you drag and drop it into the platform or they integrate seamlessly with Google Drive and Dropbox. You can ensure that all of that content is going to sit in that media library, but you can also organize and filter it. When I upload content in there, I do like to go back and categorize that content based on how either it performs, if I'm going to repurpose it again, and so many different other things. So for instance, let's say there's a specific clip that does really well for me on Instagram. I can go back into my Later media library and filter it, add like this tag on there that says repost, so that later on down the road when I'm planning out my content calendar and Later, I can filter out just those pieces of content that I know I want to repost and drag and drop them onto the calendar. Like, it's super simple. I do the same things when it comes to like my introduction posts. I love reintroducing myself to my audience every so often, and I like to reuse either that photo, that video, or that caption. That is all saved inside of Later. And again, I have a filter called introduction posts so that I can continue to repurpose that content over and over again. Also, inside of this library, you're able to pull stock images right from Unsplash without having to go and search on the Unsplash website by itself. You can invite collaborators. So let's say you work with a ton of influencers or content creators, or you just have a bunch of partners that you need to collect images or videos from. You can invite them as a collaborator into your Later account, and they can just drag and drop all their content in there without having access to your full account. You can also go and find UGC. There is a feature where it allows you to see what photos you've been tagged in. You can ask that creator for permission to repost, and you can simply drag and drop it onto the calendar. So again, the media library aspect of Later is what makes this tool so robust amongst all the different other things. So for me, there aren't many cons with this platform, but I do want to make you aware of a few things. So first and foremost, I think their commenting feature, like how you would manage your community on Instagram and TikTok, it's a little slow and clunky, and it's a feature that I don't always use. It is great if you're a social media manager or if you have a lot of people on your team and you don't want everybody logging in and out to help you do community management. They can do it all right inside of Later. But for me, I'm the only person doing community management for my account, so I actually like to get onto like Instagram desktop or get onto TikTok on the desktop and respond to comments that way. I find it just a little bit more easier, it's quicker, it's a little bit more seamless. Sometimes it takes a while inside of Later for those comments to pop up, and sometimes it's just a little slow to respond. And the other con with Later, it can get expensive depending upon where you are in your business and what you're gonna use the tool for. While plans start at $15 a month, I personally paid $40 a month to use their services, so it can get a bit pricey. All right, moving into my next scheduling tool, Planoly. Personally, when I first started on my journey of creating content and scheduling it and things like that, Planoly was my go-to before I decided to switch over to Later. And I think Planoly is the best thing that you can use if you are just getting started. Later can sometimes feel a bit overwhelming and not as user-friendly. It takes a little bit of time to get used to that platform, but Planoly is a little bit easier to use. It feels a little bit more seamless and kind of easier to understand. So the great thing about Planoly, it works very similar to Later. You can upload and schedule across a couple of different social platforms. Ones like TikTok, Instagram, and Pinterest. So there's a media library, planning tools, library, analytics, very, very similar to the features that you would see inside of Later. But again, I think Planoly is best used for small business owners, so like solo entrepreneurs or content creators. So Planoly lends itself to more of those visual platforms like Instagram, TikTok, and Pinterest, and less on the written platforms like LinkedIn and Twitter. So because Planoly focuses on that, again, lends itself to those small business owners and content creators, they have certain features that aren't even available on Later yet. For instance, their video planner tool, I think is absolutely insane and so cool, and I wish Later had it. So that video planning tool allows you seamlessly, like literally inside the TikTok app, to collect sounds and ideas and import them directly into Planoly for then you can go and create that content, and it just makes it a whole lot easier to plan out your video concepts. So let's say you come across a trending sound. You can literally just click on that sound and import it directly into Planoly, write a couple notes, and get that scheduled saying, hey, I need to record this, and you have a plan and an idea. So you don't have to go and collect those sounds like inside of TikTok in your notes app. You don't have to like text it to yourself. It's all inside of that app and tool. And after you've collected all of those ideas and record that video, you can then take that particular idea, that concept, that video. When you go to schedule it inside their scheduling tool, you are able to create 4 different short form captions for the major short form platforms. So what this looks like, let's say I'm uploading a quick little TikTok, like 15-second TikTok. I would drag it into their scheduling tool, and I can create a separate caption for TikTok, for a Pinterest idea pin, a YouTube short, and an Instagram reel. And the reason why this is important is because each of those short form platforms, they're gonna see the same video, but they all have different character limits and different ways that they format how that caption is presented. So this is super important. Like, you're gonna want a shorter caption for TikTok and a longer one for Reels. And then for something like YouTube Shorts, you only can put a title. So by having this distinction when you are ready to go and post it, it is going to make sure that each of those align with those different short form video platforms. In addition to that big pro there for Planoly, there is something that, again, I think is so user-friendly about Planoly that they even have this part of their app that has pre-made content templates. It gives you the idea, it gives you the visual, and you can literally just plug in your information and go ahead and schedule it. So that's why I think Planoly is such a great place to start for small business owners and content creators before you start to go jump on a million different platforms. If you only focus on TikTok and Instagram right now, I would highly suggest using Planoly over Later, because again, Later is just very, very robust and allows you to take content and distribute it so many different places whereas Planoly really hones in and focuses on making things a little bit more simplified and easy. And again, with that, not too many cons for Planoly other than the few things that I just mentioned. It isn't as robust as Later, so if you're looking for something more advanced, I do not recommend Planoly. And a lot of those cool features I mentioned are new, so sometimes they are a bit glitchy. I know they're doing like a lot of production and restructuring how they work, so you just have to be a little patient with them with those new features. Again, those new features are absolutely insane, like the video planner tool and the content templates, but they can get a bit glitchy at times. And while Planoly is technically cheaper than Later, it can get expensive based on the features and access that you want into the different things inside of their platform. Okay, moving into my next favorite type of scheduling platform. It's actually not a separate software or app. It is using the native scheduling features in the social media apps that you already post on. So the most well-known one is Creator Studio. It used to be Facebook Creator Studio. Now it's Meta Creator Studio. And basically just the same way that these scheduling apps work, you can do it natively inside of Meta Creator Studio and post to Facebook and Instagram. And as of recording this, they just introduced on Instagram that you can pre-schedule your reels with the sound, with the text, and have it go out at a different time so you don't have to post it right away. And this is super huge because we haven't seen a scheduling software or tool that allows you to create the reel with the trending sound already attached to it. And again, this feature just came out as I'm recording this, so it is still quite glitchy, but I think it's going to be a game changer. So while yes, I do use Later to auto-publish TikToks and Reels, short form video that I've already curated and crafted, I am starting to supplement that content using this new Instagram feature. So for instance, stuff that I put on Later are these clips pulled from YouTube. And what I like to do is sit down and batch create 3 to 5 trending audios that I can then just create with the sound, with the text, with everything that I need, and schedule it inside of Instagram. So I can batch create that content and know that it's going to get pushed out for me automatically. And I don't have to worry about creating those reels in the moment. And along with this, TikTok, LinkedIn, all these other platforms do have their own built-in schedulers now that allow for certain features. For instance, LinkedIn, yes, Later does allow me to schedule for LinkedIn. Typically, I like to do image or text-based posts for that. But when I use the LinkedIn scheduler, I'm able to schedule what they call carousels. I can't do that through Later. I have to use their native scheduling tool. So some major pros for using these native scheduling tools that are inside those apps, you don't have to pay for it. They are completely free and can, again, help save you time if you don't want to go invest in all of these other different apps that I've mentioned today. And I technically use them as a supplement to what Later is not able to do or they're not allowed to do. So for instance, Instagram's API does not allow for Later to have those trending sounds for Instagram Reels or for TikTok. So instead, I'm using this to supplement what Later is not allowed to do and make sure that I'm still creating that fun, trendy content and kind of getting it off my plate, batching it, and scheduling it. And again, what I mentioned before, we know we're not violating any terms and conditions by using these native scheduling tools because that platform created them to be used. There are scheduling tools out there that do violate terms and conditions, and by using these native features, you know that your account's not going to get shut down and your stuff's going to get posted on time. One quick con is, yes, if you decide to use this as your only way of scheduling your social media, you're going to have to open up a bunch of different apps. And when you open up those different social media apps, you tend to scroll a little bit. So while in the long run it saves you time, using something like a Later or a Planoly is going to save you even more time, but no matter what, you are saving time by using these native scheduling features. And really quickly, this is just my opinion and what I have come to figure out over the years. I've tested out a ton of different scheduling platforms. I've tried Hootsuite, Buffer, Sprout Social. I've even tried the Canva scheduling feature. And for me, I find the vast majority of them are not user-friendly. They're not pretty to look at. They're a little bit clunky. Sometimes they're too robust for small business owners, and sometimes they just don't work at all. So that's why I really only recommend Planoly, Later, or using those native scheduling features, because a lot of the times when these new software pop up, you don't know if they're an approved partner with these social media platforms. No matter which scheduling software you decide to try, whether it's Later, Planoly, or those native features like I recommended, or maybe you do like something like Sprout Social, Canva, Buffer, or Hootsuite, always just know and find something that works for you that helps save you time and allows you to batch create your content, get it scheduled so that you're not wasting hours of your day planning and scheduling and posting on social media. And again, in case you haven't figured it out by now, make sure they're an approved partner, because that is one thing that I want to make sure that we keep your account safe. Your hard work that you have put into social media, we want to keep those audiences and the followers that you've gained, we want to make sure those stay with you. So now that I've talked to you about scheduling your social media posts, the importance, and I've given you some tips and tricks and some insight on the software that I like to use, we need to actually go out and create the content. So before you go, make sure you check out this video, hit subscribe, and if you're wanting to try it later as your preferred social media scheduling platform, click on the link below and try it out for free today.